This lesson is about attachment, and I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. In the context of this conversation, it's about healthy attachment, not in the spiritual sense of whether or not we're attached to things in a kind of Buddhist way, but more in a relational, healthy attachment style way. And this conversation is really about I'm just going to qualify it by framing it and saying that this is really about the heterosexual relationship between a man and a woman. This is about a romantic relationship and what attachment has to do with it and how that connects back to anger. But this is foundational and it's good to know. Basically, I'm going to start with describing the lover archetype, because the lover archetype is formed, the imprint for each one of us's lover archetype is formed by our bond with our first love. And of course, all human beings have a first love with their parents, primarily. Those are the first loves that we fall in love with. And the one that is more the focus of attachment styles is mom, of course. So the primal mechanism of how you bonded with your mom, each of us will have a primal bonding pattern that falls into one of four main categories, which are known as attachment styles. And here's why this is important, because how you related with your mom becomes a hologram of how you relate with yourself as an adult, your own operating system. And it forms the basis of how you relate with those who are closest to you. In this context, your romantic relationship, your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, however you want to describe that, that there's a clear correlation in terms of lover, because ultimately it's about the connection between self and other, my I-thou mechanism. So this is primal stuff. Now I'm going to describe what the four main attachment styles are. Really, there's three, and the second two are variations. But the first attachment style is secure attachment. That is what everyone is striving for when they want the happily ever after lovers, fairy tale. And some say maybe it's not really possible. But I believe it's possible to get close enough to that and to actually repair our original attachment imprints and create that secure attachment, which comes in relationship and as a feeling of being safe, of being secure, of being seen and worthy of love, belonging, and connection. That's it. Secure attachment, safe, seen, secure, worthy of love, belonging, and connection. So that's what everyone's striving for in their happily ever after. The second attachment styles that I'll describe are called insecure. And these are more common because there's two variations on insecure attachment. The first one is avoidant. And avoidant is when my longing for connection is strong, but my early imprinting says that I might not get it. I might not get my need for connection met, and therefore I'm a little protected. and I will avoid. If it doesn't seem like I'm going to get my needs met, my need for connection, then I'd rather avoid. And so what that looks like in the relationship is the cold shoulder. It looks like putting up a brick wall and just avoiding. And it's the silent treatment. Avoidance is a habit pattern that some people will have more than others, and that will become a style. It's a style of relating called avoidant insecure attachment. The second insecure form of attachment is ambivalent. Ambivalent attachment, insecure attachment, is when I think I want to connect and I'm not really convinced that I'm going to get that need met. I'm going to connect with my partner. And therefore, I'm going to be a little uncertain and ambiguous and ambivalent around, am I going to get my attachment needs met? Am I going to get that connection met? Is this going to work? Or maybe is it not? So there's almost a tendency to a passive aggression here in this primal insecure style, is the ambivalent one. So also these are fluid, but generally avoidance and ambivalence will often find each other in relationships, and one will be more dominant than the other as a style, but they'll often attract each other. So one will be usually more the avoidant, or possibly both. The final attachment style that I'll describe is called disorganized attachment. And disorganized attachment is more problematic because it is rooted in an experience of myself as a young, small child or infant with a parent who is my source of security, my source of life, nourishment, and literally survival. But they're also sometimes scary. So I have a mixed set of feelings about them, that I need them, I'm bound to them, for survival, but I'm also sometimes scared of them. So that's disorganized attachment. And that can play out in relationships if we get into a dynamic where a feeling of survival is there, but there's a fear and a kind of Jekyll and Hyde dynamic that can form. So there's no right or wrong here. It's just important to have an overview of the four main attachment styles so you can recognize yourself, recognize your patterns, and by seeing a pattern actually gives you the power to change it or potentially change it. And recognizing the pattern is the first step of change. And at the heart of attachment in relationships is the balance of the bids for connection that the other person is making or that I'm making, and whether or not my bid for connection is going to get met, and how easily it is for us to come together and come apart. That's ultimately what relationship is there ease coming together and ease coming apart. The goal of secure attachment is the felt sense of freedom within the relationship so that I feel safe, I feel seen, I feel secure and connected. And the real art of intimacy is being able to strike that balance so that as a couple, we both have our autonomy and our freedom, a sense of freedom and autonomy, as well as our sense of togetherness. And that is the art. And in that expression of healthy, secure attachment, it's a state of joining rather than a merging. And there's a difference between joining and merging, because when we're joined with that healthy interdependence, where there's autonomy and togetherness that are both respected, and there's ease of love and connection that can flow between, that's a healthy joining. Whereas a merging is a form of enmeshment or a codependence that usually comes from old wounds, old sticky places, and that is more of the codependent pattern. The mommy wounds, the father wounds, whatever it is in the past that's bringing about that insecurity and that fear and that neediness and clinginess or controllingness. It's all in there. So this is important to recognize your own imprints and your own patterns. Which of those 4 attachment styles are more likely to be your dominant style, and then what are you going to do about it in order to make it better. I want to honor that there's not a right or wrong here that I'm proposing, but there's always ways to make it better. In the next video, I'm going to talk more about the dynamics of sexual polarity and how that plays into this field of transforming anger into brave self-leadership, powerful leadership. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you took some notes there and just took that in. If you want a great resource that I recommend, if you want to dive into the subject of attachment, this is the book that I recommend by Dr. Sue Johnson. It's called Hold Me Tight, and she gets into the nuances of the demon dialogues, what she calls what happens when our attachment needs are not being met, and when the raw spots come up and conflict happens, when there's a dance of avoidance and unmet needs and old hurts. So hang in there. This is the deep part of this training, and I could probably do a whole other course just on the relationship aspect, but we're dipping our toes in and getting our feet wet. See you in the next video.